are you? I am Dr. Deepa Dahake and welcome to my channel Dr. Deepa Dahake's NEET Biology. I am coming here to boost your preparation for your upcoming examination NEET 2020. So in this session I am coming with the second part of plant morphology, second session for plant morphology, that is flower, placentation, estivation and other structures and importance feature of the flower we basically discuss in this session. But before that again we come towards our quiz session. So first मैं आप लोगों को कल के answers provide करूँगी and then after as I provided the answers I again ask the 3 new questions for the today's quiz. Okay, so yesterday in last session whatever answers I asked you, those questions are, first question is which of the following is a viviparous animal. So for that answer is platypus. So that thing you remember, the animal which is viviparous is platypus. Second question is which of the following is used in biological control of the mosquito, or which of the use in biological control. So for biological control of mosquito you remember answer is Gambusia fish. And then after in third question the group of animal is provided and that is which one of the following belong to the same phylum. So for that you go through the second option B, that the B option is correct where the prawn, scorpion and locusta is involved. So these are the 3 answers and now come towards our today's quiz. Okay, now the quiz from today onwards with related with the questions are related with the plant morphology. So first question is the plant which produces a characteristic pneumatophores and show vivipary belongs to. For these questions you go properly through the first video or session 1 of the plant morphology. So for this 4 options are there: halophytes, psammophytes, hydrophytes and mesophytes. Second question is the stem modified into flat green organs performing the functions of leaves are known as A. Cladode, B. Phyllodes, C. Phylloclade and D. Scales. The third question is an example of edible underground stem is A. Carrot, B. Groundnut, C. Sweet potato and D. Apical bud. So all these 3 are today's question for quiz. And now we come towards our lecture session where today we discuss about the flowers and its structure. So let's begin with flower. Let's begin with flower. As you all are knowing, flower is a reproductive part of plant, and whenever plant enter in the phase of reproduction, the flowering or blooming phenomena we observe. Now first when we study about the flower, so one structure you remember, that structure is called thalamus. So the basal swollen part of the flower where all the floral parts are present, that part of the flower is called as thalamus. Now first we study about the 2 types of flower on the basis of presence or absence of reproductive organs. According to that, flower may be bisexual or unisexual. Bisexual flowers means when the gynoecium and androecium, both the reproductive organs are present in a same flower, then the flower is said to be bisexual. Bisexual flowers generally show the self-pollination as well as cross-pollination. Second type is unisexuals. Unisexual means you remember when the flower show the presence of only a single reproductive organ, either gynoecium or androecium, then it is called a unisexual flower. In case of unisexual flower, the flower may be staminate and pistillate. Staminate flower means the male flower which show the presence of androecium as a reproductive organ, whereas in pistillate flower you remember the flower only show the presence of gynoecium in addition to calyx and corolla. Now the next topic for the structure of flower when we discuss, so we first discuss about the symmetry. As you know, what does the symmetry means? Whenever we cut any of the flower, so whether that flower is divided into 2 equal halves or not, that we study under the symmetry. So symmetry, according to symmetry you remember flower may be asymmetrical or symmetrical? This is again one of the most important question for your upcoming NEET examination. Asymmetrical flowers you remember very well. Asymmetrical meaning all of you know very well that the flower can't be divided into two equal halves from any of the axes. Then the flower is said to be asymmetrical. In asymmetrical flower, predominant example you remember, the monocot flowers are always asymmetrical, and the common example is canna. You remember canna is a monocot and this flower show the asymmetry. Okay, and the example canna, again I connect this topic with the another topic, that the example of canna study आपने कहाँ पे किया है? We study the example of canna when we study about the pollination, and in chapter pollination, topic pollination of chapter 2nd in class 12th biology sorry, sexual reproduction in plants. When we study, so at that time we study the clistogamous flower, that is the closed flower. So clistogamous flower, for example, you remember canna is again one of the good example for the clistogamous flower. So canna you remember for two examples, that clistogamous flower as well as for the asymmetrical flower. Now we come towards the symmetrical flower. That flower at least from one radial plane can be divided into two halves, equal half. So according to symmetry, flowers are actinomorphic and zygomorphic. For this revision purpose, you remember these two terms. Generally you recall these in the form of radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. For objective purpose in plant morphology, terms are important. So here you remember actinomorphic, that means the radially symmetrical flowers are called as actinomorphic and the bilateral symmetrical flowers are called as zygomorphic. When we study about the floral in next session, we study about the floral formula, floral diagrams and the descriptions of family. So in those floral diagram, we as well as in floral formula, we use some particular sign. So when the flower is actinomorphic, so in floral formula we use this kind of diagram, and in for the zygomorphic flower we use the sign of percentage. Okay, so here you remember actinomorphic meaning clear hai, that from more than one plane you can divide the flower into two equal halves. Commonly mustard, datura and chili examples are more important here. So mustard, datura and chili you remember the actinomorphic flowers, and normally flowers, if you appear the flowers in case of mustard, so 4 petals are there, and from any of the plane you can divide the flower into two equal halves. But when we come towards the zygomorphic flower, so bilateral symmetrical means only from a one longitudinal or one vertical plane you divide the flower into two equal halves. For zygomorphic you remember again example gulmohar, beans and cassia. So gulmohar, beans and cassia are example for zygomorphic flower. Now we come towards the floral part. I think this part is clear to all because from very beginning classes we study about the 4 types of floral part. So basically floral parts are accessory and essential. Essential required for the process of sexual reproduction. So that's why they are essential part. Accessory part are two, calyx and corolla. Calyx you remember it is the outermost wall of the flower. Generally it is green in color, it is photosynthetic and protective in function. The single unit of calyx you remember, the single unit of calyx is called as sepal, and depending on their position the calyx or sepals may be fused or free. When the sepals are fused then the flower is called as gamosepalous, and in free sepalous condition or when free sepals are present, flower is called as polysepalous. Similarly corolla is a colorful part, it is quite attractive and it responsible for the attraction of insects at the time of pollination, particularly in cross pollination. So corolla is mainly helpful in the insect pollination. Secondly, pigment you remember, the pigment which is present in corolla, it is anthocyanin, and anthocyanin you remember it is a water soluble pigment which is present in plant. The single unit of corolla you remember, the single unit of corolla is called as petal, and these petals may be gamopetalous or polypetalous, that is either the petals are fused or petals are free from each other. One another term when we study about the accessory parts. So again in monocot flower, you remember one term we use, that term is called as perianth. Perianth means, you remember, when the sepals and petals or calyx and corolla are exactly similar with each other and we can't differentiate in between the calyx and corolla. So then that floral part is called as perianth. Perianth is a predominant or identical feature of monocot flower, and the single unit of perianth, you remember, the single unit of perianth is called as tepal. So this part you remember for the accessory part. Now when we discuss about the essential part, so male reproductive organ is androecium and female one is gynoecium. The single unit of androecium is called as stamen and the unit of gynoecium is called as carpel. So first here we discuss about the arrangement of calyx and corolla. So when we study about the arrangement of calyx and corolla on thalamus with respect to each other, then we study about estivation. So here you remember what is estivation. Estivation simply represent the arrangement of sepals and petals with each other or towards the one and other over the thalamus. When we study the estivation, so there are four kinds of estivation we study basically. These four kinds of estivations are volvate, twisted, imbricate, vexillary. One of the most important topic for your NEET exam, along either it question is raised in terms of the arrangement of sepals or petals, or the question is raised for the examples where which one is present, which one is an example of estivation or which one is not. So that kind of questions you prepared very well, and remember the sequence in the same order, because if you forgot the sequence then automatically the confusion may be raised for the example. So volvate, twisted, imbricate and vexillary. You remember vexillary is also called as papilionaceous estivation. Now first we study about volvate. Volvate means when all the, see here, all the petals are free from each other. Again one additional thing I explain here, that when we go to draw the floral diagrams, so during floral diagram these structures you appear in family section. So here when we show the estivation for calyx, so calyx are represented in this way, that is a triangular form of structure we draw, and this is for the calyx. The estivation whatever to be explained here, all those estivation you remember explain for the corolla, and the petals whenever we draw in floral diagram they are drawn in this shape. So this part you remember corolla or for petal we explain the estivation estivation arrangement. So volvate here you remember when all the petals are free from each other, then the estivation is called as volvate. Volvate estivation example you remember calotropis. Second is twisted. Twisted means a twisting is take place. The one petal is overlapped by the next petal or the previous petal is overlapped by the one another petal. So every petal has a two surfaces. One is inner and second is outer. So in everywhere you appear, this petal is as inner outer. For this petal, this one is inner outer. So each petal has one inner end and another is outer end, or you can remember the one petal is overlapped by the another. Then it is called twisted estivation. Example are important here because from these examples the question may be framed that which of the following is not an example for twisted estivation. So three examples you remember very well: China rose, lady's finger and cotton for the twisted. Now we come towards the imbricate. Imbricate means the one petal is completely inner, one petal is completely outer, and remaining three petals are twisted in orientation. Then it is called as imbricate. So for imbricate you remember 1 plus 3 plus 1, that means one is outer, one is inner, and in between outer and inner three petals are twisted in orientation. Example again imbricate. For imbricate you remember the cassia and gulmohar. After that we come towards the maxillary, one of the most important estivation, and here the questions are asked in terms of their position. So posterior position, lateral position and anterior positions are asked. So maxillary, here you remember maxillary, it is a pentamerous. Clear आपको appear हो रहे हैं all these structures whatever we draw, they are a pentamerous. That means the 5 petals are clearly appeared to all. Now here you remember in maxillary, one of the large petal is present. This single large petal here, it is called as standard or maxillum also it is called. So single large petal standard or maxillum is present, and what is the position when we draw these floral diagrams or estivation? The side which is present towards the upward, that is called as posterior, the lower surface is called as anterior, and side by side both the surfaces are called as lateral surfaces. So standard petal, you remember, it is always be posterior in position. The two lateral small petals are present, these are called as wings. So wings are always lateral in position, and then the two united and very small petals are present. So position, you remember, standard is present towards posterior surface, and this keel, these small petals are called as keel, and keel, you remember, they are present towards us when we draw the diagram. So this part is present towards us, so this part is called as anterior. So keels are anterior in origin, wing position, wings are lateral in position, and standards, do you remember, standard is a single large petal, and this single large petal is posterior in position. So this part you remember for the estivation purpose. Now here you remember when we study about the flower, so pentamerous, tetramerous, trimerous terms you use. So trimerous means when the petals or sepals are arranged in 3 number or in the multiplication of 3, then the flower is trimerous. If the sepals or petals are 4 or in their multiplication, then it is called tetra and pentamerous. Again the trimerous flower we observe only in monocots, and this is the reason the sepals and petals are 3 or in its multiplication. So because of the trimerous flower of the monocot always show the asymmetrical symmetry, whereas the tetramerous, as we draw here in mustard or in Brassicaceae family, in mustard or Brassicaceae family 4 petals are there. Datura and chili, if you observe, the 5 petals are present. So these are the flowers where the tetramerous and pentamerous condition, and because of that the tetramerous flower show the actinomorphic symmetry, and pentamerous flower, you remember, pentamerous flower show the zygomorphic symmetry. Okay, so now we come towards the next topic of for the flower after estivation. We study about the position of ovary with respect to the floral part, and then we come towards the placentation. Friends, let's begin with the position of floral part in flower and androecium as well as gynoecium part of the flower. When we come towards the position of floral parts, so now is it clear to all the floral parts, you remember, all the floral parts are situated on thalamus, and that we study here. So this again one of the confusing part for the students, that they have a confusion in between the position of ovary and the position of floral part. So in two way you can remember, whatever terms we use, these terms are hypogynous, epigynous and perigynous terms we use. These terms you remember basically we use for the position of floral parts. If you go through the NCERT, through the diagram, so below the diagram in description also it is clearly mentioned that the position of floral part on thalamus, and according to that the 3 types of position of flower we appear, that the hypogynous, epigynous and perigynous. When we use the term hypogynous, hypo means, you remember, hypo means lower, and epi means we use for the upper or higher secretions or higher level. So hypogynous means, with diagram you clear understand, this is the dotted shaded area, this show the thalamus, and the ovary is situated over the thalamus. But what is the position in floral parts during hypogynous? position. Hypogynous, here you remember, when the floral parts are developed from below the level of ovary, so that condition is called as hypogynous. That means in that condition the floral parts are present below ovaries, automatically ovary is superior in position. So this part you remember. And when we draw the floral formula, so in floral formula, hypogynous position or the superior ovary is shown by this type of sign. So whenever you observe this type of sign in floral formula, so you remember gynoecium, G ovary को किसके थ्रू रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, G के थ्रू. So gynoecium is present above the line. Line is representing the position of floral parts. So floral parts are present below the ovary, and that's why the ovary is superior in position. Second is example, you remember, example part is more important here. The mustard, China rose and brinjal. You solve your last year repeatedly. I am saying go through the last year question papers of the NEET exams, and if you go through those question papers, you find out such kind of questions with along with the examples, either in the match the column or true match, false match. Number of variations for example questions are there. So these three examples you remember for hypogynous. The second type of position is epigynous. Epi means upper. That means the thalamus here you appear. The thalamus is cup shape or enclosed हो गया है completely, and the ovary is present inside the closed thalamus or cup shaped thalamus. And here remember, epigynous means what is the position of flower. Epigynous means higher. So the epi means higher. So the floral parts are present above the level of ovary. So ovary clearly you remember here the dots are showing the number of ovules. Ovary is present below and the floral parts are present upper to level of the ovary. So in this condition, the epigynous, when the position of floral part is epigynous, ovary always you remember ovary is inferior ovary, and for inferior ovary again the line show the position of floral part and G means ovary. So ovary is situated below the floral parts, that's why ovary is said to be inferior. Inferior ovary predominantly example, again I am saying important, guava and cucumber. You remember guava and cucumber, as well as one of the most important example, ray florets of sunflower. Clear? If you study the head inflorescence in sunflower, the special inflorescence when you study. So in case of special inflorescence, one head or capitulum inflorescence is there, and there we study sunflower is not a flower, it is inflorescence of a ray floret and disc floret. So ray florets of sunflower you remember also show the epigynous position. Secondly, third is perigynous. So in perigynous, peri means periphery. So floral parts here you remember the floral parts are present towards the periphery of the ovary. So and secondly, the most important term, specific term for the statement you remember for NCERT. So here the rim of thalamus is mentioned. So for objective purpose in your upcoming examination, rim of thalamus is supposed to become or asked in question. So you remember the question is related with the perigynous. Generally the thalamus is disc shaped, and over this disc shaped thalamus all the floral parts are situated. In case of perigynous, that means towards the periphery of ovary. The ovary is half inferior, half superior. So in your terms you can remember the floral parts nearly present in the mid of the ovary. So this part is present above the floral part and this is situated lower below the floral part. For this we show in this position floral med. Generally if you go through the description of families in your NCERT prescribed books, so there you remember only this kind of diagram is provided in one family. That which one family आपके लिए homework है कि आपको find out करना है कि in which family this kind of sign is provided in floral formula. Okay, so that you go through your books. So rim of thallus is present here, ovary is inferior half and inferior super, half inferior half superior. Example are more important. PPR you can remember for perigynous. So plum, peach and rose, PPR के फॉर्म में आप याद रख सकते हैं. So plum, peach and rose are the example for perigynous or half inferior and half superior ovary. Now we come towards the remaining two floral parts. that is androecium and gynoecium. Androecium when you study, so remember androecium is a male reproductive organ. The single unit of androecium is called as stamen. Here I am not discussing about the stamen and androecium because the entire detailed part you already studied in chapter 2nd of the plant reproduction, that what is anther, how it is bilobed, dithecus, tetrasporangiate, number of things we studied in detail. So here for the revision purpose, for rapid revision purpose, I skipped the androecium because you all are knowing all the things in androecium. So now we directly come towards the gynoecium. Gynoecium again you all are knowing the single unit of gynoecium, what is, and the gynoecium is consist of stigma, style and ovary. Inside the ovary, ovules are present. Again important thing, after fertilization, the ovules develop into seed and ovary develop into fruit. So that part you remember. What is stigma? Stigma is a landing site of pollen grain. So upon pollination, pollen grains are always settle over the stigma. Style is only provide a path to pollen tube. Therefore, style you remember helpful in the siphonogamous condition, siphonogamous pollination or pollen germination in case of angiosperms. Now, when we study about the gynoecium, so here you remember inside the ovary, some flattened and cushion-like, again this term you remember. The placenta, when you study, all most of the students remember what is placenta, but the shape of placenta they forget. So this you remember, the flattened and cushion-like structures are developed in ovary. These structures are called as placenta, and ovules are always attached to wall of ovary with the help of placenta. Placenta clear है आप सभी को? Placenta is responsible for providing nourishment as well as nutrient to the developing ovule. Now when we study about the gynoecium, so one again you revise this thing. The carpels ovule, number of ovules are present inside the ovary, either of single ovule or number of ovule. When the ovary is present with a large number of ovule, in that case all the ovules either they are free or they are fused with each other. So in this condition you remember the carpels may be two terms. These terms are important for NEET exams actually. So ovary or carpels may be apocarpus or it may be syncarpus. You remember apocarpus means the free position. When all the carpels or all the ovules are free from each other, then it is called as apocarpus. The common example for apocarpus, lotus and rose you remember. And the second syncarpus, one term you only remember, apocarpus means free. So automatically syncarpus याद रहता है. Syncarpus means क्या हो गया? Fused conditions of the ovule or carpel, and here the examples are mustard and tomato. So this is all about for the general introductory part of the gynoecium, and now we come towards the one of the most important topic of your NEET exams, that was the placentation. You remember the type of placentation, example of placentation very well, and revise this topic as well as the position of ovary. At least for you try to revise 10 to 15 times this topic, because the one question is most of the time, if plant morphology se frame hoga, so one question is most of the time may be asked from any one of the topic. So for placentation, marginal, axial, parietal types याद होंगे आप लोगों को, free, central and basal. Now how these names are provided? The simple criteria you remember, the names are provided on the position from where they develop from the ovary. So here you remember marginal placentation. Marginal placentation in simple terms we say when the ovules and placenta, actually placenta develop हो रहा है, so through the placenta क्या attached होंगे? Ovule. So you can remember either the ovule or the placenta. So simple terms, when the placenta is developed from the margins of the ovary, then it is called as marginal placentation. P you use every life, day to day life में, winters में हम pea pods को या pea seeds को use करते हैं. So that structure you remember. So P is an example for the marginal placentation. One of the most important thing is when you study the placentation, you study whether the ovary is unilocular or multilocular. So this thing here, marginal placentation we complete, and now the second type of placentation is axial placentation. Now what is axial placentation? Axial means the placentation in which the ovules and placenta, or either you remember placenta or ovule, the placenta when developed from the central axis of the ovary, then it is called as axile placentation. One thing again remember while revising the placentation, that whether the ovary is unilocular or multilocular. So you go through your diagrams of the NCERT, so you observe that there is a one and only placentation where the ovary is multilocular. In case of axile, we appear 3 locules or 3 chamber. So you can remember trilocular, but objective purpose for your NEET exam, you remember the multilocular ovary is only present in axile placentation. The common example for axile placentation, China rose, tomato, lemon. डे टू डे लाइफ में डेली हम टोमेटो को यूज करते हैं. सो वंस द सेशन इज ओवर, इमीडिएटली यू ट्राई टू कट वन टोमेटो एट ट्रांसवर्स एक्सेस, not towards the longitudinal axis, and when you cut the transverse tomato at transverse axis, you appear this kind of structure. The number of ovules or ovules now in tomato we observe in the form of seeds. So number of seed may be vary, but this trilocular condition you clearly observe. Okay. So now the axile placentation you remember with multilocular position and example. Now we come towards the third type of placentation, that is a parietal. Parietal means the periphery of the ovary. So when the placenta develop from the periphery of ovary, or when we observe the arrangement of ovule at the peripheral part of ovary, then it is called as parietal placentation. Okay. For parietal placentation you remember one thing, the false septum. 2 examples है आपके पास, mustard and argemone, and one statement is provided. That statement is the false septum is present in parietal placentation in some of the examples or members, and because of that false septum ovary seems to be bilocular, but originally ovary कैसा है आपके पास, ovary is unilocular ovary. So remember the term for that false septum, term is not provided, but 1 year the term is asked. That term is for false septum is rhaplum. So you remember rhaplum is a false septum which is present in mustard, commonly appear करते हैं. It is a membranous structure, and because of this false septum ovary is bilocular, but originally कैसे है, it is a unilocular. Now we come towards the free central. Again the name indicate freely ovules and placenta is developed. So the placenta freely develop from the central part of the ovary. Don't be confused between free central and axile. Axile ovules and placenta develop in a specific pattern, and it is multilocular. Here it is unilocular. Example are more important for free central, dianthus and primrose. You mug up all these examples very well. And now we come towards the basal. Again the name as indicate, the basal placentation, the placentation which develop from the base of the ovary, or the placenta develop from base, it is called basal. Examples are sunflower and marigold. So this is all about the flower that we discuss during the second session of plant morphology. In our next session we discuss about the fruit and its types, and then we come towards the comparative analysis of flower. In that session some of the additional thing I am going to explain you. So let's join with Dr. Deepa Dahake's NEET Biology for boost up your preparation and maintain your spirit for the study. Okay. एंड सेकेंडली अगर आपको लग रहा है जो न्यू आज स्टूडेंट्स कनेक्ट हुए हैं, जो न्यू स्टूडेंट्स कनेक्ट हुए हैं चैनल के साथ, इन केस अगर उनको लग रहा है कि इन एनी वे दिस लिटरेचर और वॉट एवर आई एम टीचिंग टू यू दैट इज हेल्पफुल टू यू, आपको हेल्प मिल रही है कुछ भी किसी भी कंडीशंस में, आपको कंटेंट बहुत पसंद अगर आ रहा है, सो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब माय चैनल, लाइक माय वीडियोस, and not to forget to give the answers of those 3 questions which I asked you in beginning of the session. So by that time, stay blessed and stay connected with our channel. Thank you.